Let's talk a little bit about basic amp setup now. There are a lot of different types of amps. There are the physical amps, there are the virtual amps on iPads and iPhones and computers. There are triple channel amps, there are single channel amps, tube amps, solid state, lots of different flavors. Combo amps, heads with cabinets. This here is a fairly good representative of the basic features you see on most amps. So there's, of course, going to be lots of variants, but this is going to give you a good handle if you're just starting out with gear on what the things are used for, what the different controls are used for, what they do, and also maybe what to look for in an amp if you haven't purchased one yet. So let's start here all the way on this side. Obviously, we're plugging in our guitar right here. This here is called normal. On some amps, this could be called clean. This is the basic clean channel on the amp. No distortion. Some amps have the ability to overdrive the clean channel just a little bit. They'll have like a clean and then maybe a drive, or they might have a master and a pre, or a volume and a master. And in that case, you'd use the master, and then you would drive the master with the clean, and it would create a little bit of a breakup. This amp doesn't have that. It just has two distinct channels. So it doesn't have a master. It has the normal channel, and then it has the gain channel, which can be activated by pushing this button in. And when we do that, this knob no longer matters. These knobs matter. We've got pre and post. This could be considered volume and gain. The post could be considered volume, the pre could be considered gain or drive, depending on the amp, but in this case it's called pre and post. Creates your basic drive. Now, if I adjust the gain, it just makes it more or less distorted. Cleaner, drivier. Adjusting the post will make it simply louder or quieter. And a lot of amps have a unique sweet spot where those sound, you get the right amount of air moving into the mic, and you just get the right chemistry of those two knobs. But post primarily adjusts the volume. Yes, it moves more air, thus creating slightly different tones as you increase because you're treating the speaker slightly differently. And we have reverb. Some amps don't have a reverb. This has a nice reverb in it. Let's go back to clean so you can hear it. Turning it all the way down. Dry. Turning it up, you can hear some little dirts on the pot, that's okay. This amp, when you turn the reverb on, it slightly decreases the sound, which some amps do, some amps don't. And dirty pots don't help. Really wash it out on some amps as well. Amp reverb's great. Not the only way to get reverb, but a lot of times it's just a nice way, because it's right there on the amp, to add a bit more, not sustain necessarily, but space to whatever you're playing. And on this particular amp, we have an EQ, 3-band EQ, bass, middle, and treble, low, middle frequencies, and high frequencies. And these work for either channel. So even though the clean channel is the only one active right now, if I adjust the bass and the treble, and then I hit this, they're going to have effect. They're going to take effect with either channel. And then I've got this boost, which is, it's a mid boost. Not boost the highs or the low bass, boosted kind of the lower mids. Now over here are two jacks that make up the effects loop, and this is common on some amps and doesn't exist on other amps. This allows you to put time-based effects or other, modulation effects, really anything that sounds good, after the drive circuit, after the preamp section of the amp. This can be a cleaner way and in some cases, the only way that you want to run things like delay pedals, reverb pedals, rack units, stuff like that, because you're putting it post or after the distortion. What this means is that you've created your drive sound, or even your slightly overdriven or your clean sound or whatever, before it hits some of these effects. It results in a much more precise sound. So those are the basic knobs and setting adjustments you might have on either your beginner amp or a more standard combo amp like this. Like I said, there are many variations, but this should get you started.